Texans swarm. I'm so excited about the Texans' new offensive coordinator. And look, we don't know what it's going to look like in the regular season quite yet. We do know that offensive coordinator Nick Caley, who replaced Bobby Slowick, will be calling plays from the sideline this year, not up in the press box. What I like about Caley, who is from, if you want to reach a little bit, both the Sean McVay tree and the Patriots way, it's that while he certainly, you would think, is one of those new age, fancy lad offensive gurus, he's got a little meathead to him. Here he is at a press conference earlier this week talking about what he's looking for from his offense.
Look, I don't believe in being anything other than the most physical team we can possibly be. I think it allows you to control the line of scrimmage. It carves out, actually takes a 2 or 3 yard gain in the run game to a 4 or 5 or 6 yard gain. It wears on people in the fourth quarter, and it's a matter of mental and physical conditioning for us just to continue to push through that. But yeah, I believe in a physical football team, and I think our guys have answered the bell, and they're working to be the most physical version of themselves every single day.
Swarm! Nick Chubb running down your face. Curb stomping you on the way to the end zone or for a gain of 3. Doesn't matter. Every single push forward by this running game is going to be violent. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
With Nick Caley running the show. Dameon Pierce, watch out. That's RB3.
He's physical. Even RB3's physical.
Watch out. They might even have a fullback this year. Jacob Johnson. Watch out. One of the guys that I'm most intrigued by, based off of what's been going on in training camp, is Texans rookie Ariante Ursary, a tackle they selected out of Minnesota. Big dude. There is an article in the Houston Chronicle written by John Alexander. And Jonathan teases this article on his social media at John M. Alexander, saying, in 2024, the Texans O-line developed a reputation among its fans as a bunch of pretty boys. Yeah, Laramie Tunsil was quite fashionable. They thought Titus Howard was a bit of the same. There was this aloofness, this nonchalance about the Texans' offensive line struggles that certainly added to it. But per John Alexander, rookie left tackle Tay Ursary has the attitude on the field that is the opposite of a pretty boy. He wants to go through you. Swarm! Here's what John writes in the Chronicle. There's no laugh or grin. He's straight-faced because he meant every word, even if it was only said in a figurative sense. I wanted to let people know what type of player he was getting, how my mind works, how I went about my business, my playing style, and why I play like that. I wanted them to know that somebody has got his back out there. Ursary describes his playing style as physical and aggressive. He's adamant. He's not a lineman who plays with finesse. I want to run through you each and every play. Love hearing that from Ursary. Also love hearing when he was asked earlier this week about stepping in for a now healthy Cam Robinson, who signed a pretty lucrative one-year deal this offseason. I haven't done anything yet. Big question as training camp wraps up and the preseason wraps up. What happens at left tackle for the Texans who are trying to put one together? Because Robinson is healthy, but yesterday, Ursary was still working with the first-team unit as starting left tackle as a rookie, while Cam Robinson was with the twos. I think that is noteworthy. And I hope that it's Ursary to start the year over Robinson. If you have a guy that you think has some serious upside at left tackle, and you've finally found an offensive lineman that you can plug and play immediately instead of this weird mamby-pamminess that it feels like all Texans offensive linemen who have been drafted, other than Titus Howard, have dealt with, where I don't know if he's ready. We're going to try him at another position. I don't know, Jim. if you're as confident to put Ursary at left tackle right away and still confident enough to have him ahead of Cam Robinson at left tackle, I think you keep him there. And you see how much he can develop over the course of the year. Because guess what? Sitting behind the scenes and watching Cam Robinson and being the backup tackle waiting for someone to get hurt, that's not going to get him any better. You made a serious investment in this guy. Maybe not a first-round pick, but I want to see Ursary play week 1 because if he's playing week 1 on, a lot of room for growth. And I think that you have a higher upside with Ursary than you do with Robinson, who the Jaguars were totally cool moving on from, as were the Minnesota Vikings after they traded for him last year.
Yeah. Even if you want to start Robinson at left tackle and Ursary at right, like, to me, people are a little too flippant about, like, yeah, just move him to the right side. You know, left tackle to right tackle to left tackle. Yeah, it even happens with the guards. That's talk to any offensive lineman. That is a tough transition to make, just because you have to flip everything. You have to flip everything in your mind. You're playing right-handed versus playing left-handed, is how some tackles have described, like, moving from one side to the other. I think if he's good enough at left tackle, just stick him there. Don't have him flip-flop back and forth, because like you said, it's just so much higher of an upside on Ursary than Cam Robinson, any of these guys, honestly, on the line. And does that mean your right tackle then is Titus Howard back at right tackle, and then you're just figuring out the 2 guard spots in the center? Okay, I can see how there's something there. Like, you're molding something there, as opposed to asking Titus Howard to play out of position so you can put Robinson at left tackle, Ursary also kind of playing out of position at right tackle, and then Howard at guard. I think it's just cleaner to have everyone play the position they're used to playing.
Right. Now, we've seen Titus Howard at right guard a bunch, but this year it does seem like, yeah, right, it's going to be right tackle going forward. And we will see what happens at right guard. Juice Scruggs, it seems like, has made a little bit of progress of late in training camp to the point where it might be up in the air. Who's at right guard to open the season between he and Ed Ingram? Lagan Tomlinson at left guard is the guy right now definitively, as is Jake Andrews, who's clearly a Nick Caley guy from their time together in New England. And reading some of the quotes that Nick Caley had to say about Jake Andrews, talking about how much film Andrews studies. Andrews probably knew that if he studies the film around Caley's going to give him the leg up coming into a situation where it's between him, Jared Patterson. You know, Caley's probably going to go with the guy he's familiar with, even if Patterson's better.
Yeah. Popovich also was a Patriots guy.
Cole Popovich as well. That's right. Yeah, and Popovich probably told him, like, hey, listen, I think Andrews is better than poor Jared Patterson.
Yeah, that's why he's here.
Anyway, we will see what happens with the offensive line, but I would like to see Ursary at left tackle. As far as that article that John Alexander wrote, just one last little piece of advice. Ursary, if you want people to believe that the Texans have put the pretty boy offensive line persona in the past, you need to delete a post you made on your Instagram on February 19th. You have to delete that picture because it looks mildly zesty. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
I'm wearing the shortest shorts right now. I look great, but I certainly look like a Metro little dandy boy. If you want to get away from that, delete that post.
The beanie's tough.
It looks like a condom. I'm just gonna say it. Like it looks like the goofy kid in Fat Albert who has that looking thing on the top of his head. A little too mushroomy, bro. Ursary wore a t-shirt at his draft that says "Beware of Dog" with like a Great Dane holding a duck in its mouth. I want him to wear stuff like that instead of the, zesty Hawaiian shirt stuff. There were a lot of Texans fans this offseason that were like, can we just draft some like white guy with a mullet?
Tate Ratledge. Yeah.
Right. Ursary seems to have the physical mentality that everyone's looking for. I would just ignore the pictures if you are a Texans fan and stop assuming that he will be Laramie Tunsil or Titus Howard when Titus Howard was at his worst. Based off of a picture, I'd encourage you to watch what he does, but I'd also encourage Arianti Ursary, delete that for the bad times.
If at any point,
because they will happen, you're a rookie.
If at any point Paul Gallant is like, hey, that's a shirt I could wear, you're wearing the wrong shirt.
Yes.
As an offensive lineman.
As an offensive lineman, for sure. As an offensive lineman for sure.
Yeah, like-
and some would argue as a straight man. Might be the wrong shirt.
If Paul's jealous about your Hawaiian shirts.
I was jealous
Bad
of Laramie's Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, bad sign.